Hello and welcome to another episode of Downtime Distractions. My name is Hamish, aka Radian, and today we are having a look at the new single-player first-person adventure game called Firewatch. Firewatch has been developed by a small team called Campo Santo. It was released on February 9th and it's available on Steam and also on the PSN store for the PlayStation 4. I've made a decision for this first look at and actually a review of the Firewatch game not to really spoil anything. So we're going to jump about 10 minutes into the game, and throughout the gameplay that I'll be showing you, I've actually disabled the in-game voices between the two main characters, as that's how the story is told throughout the game. I've done that because I don't actually really want to spoil it. This is really going for a spoiler-free review of the game. Anyway, as I said, we're going to jump about 10 minutes into the game, skip the introduction so that you do avoid any spoilers. As always, please subscribe, bottom left-hand corner, we really do appreciate it. Anyway, let's jump into the Wyoming wilderness and have a look at Firewatch. Okay, so we're about 10 minutes into the game, and the first mission we've been tasked to go and do is investigate some fireworks going off, which are just going off over there. So Firewatch is a first-person adventure game, but it's also a drama. And the game is basically told via walkie-talkies through the main character Henry and another person at the thoroughfare lookout over there, who is Delilah. And you communicate with Delilah via those walkie-talkies, and also through finding bits of information throughout the game world. The game is controlled with just classic sort of first-person shooter controls, except there is no gun. Instead of a gun, you've got a compass that you can use to navigate around. You've got a map that you can zoom in on, and throughout the game you will find other maps that you can write on your map to discover shortcuts, places of interest, that sort of thing. You also throughout the game will find other bits and pieces to make your trek easier, like rope or a torch, things like that. Now the walkie-talkie mechanic, when you're talking to Delilah, is obviously a crucial part of the game. And basically what happens is that when you're talking with her, in certain moments, there's a menu that pops up with a multi-choice option. And sort of like a pick your own adventure, you need to choose the reply that you think is the right sort of reply to answer with, or putting yourself in the character's shoes, what you think they would say. So as I said before, it's basically a drama, the game. And the writing of the game, I have to say, is actually superb. And I bring up the writing first before graphics and sound, because that's actually where the real beauty of this game lies. Yes, the environments are beautiful, and I'll come to that soon. They're actually stunning. And the sound design is brilliant, but really it does come back to the writing, and the writing is solid. Characters are believable, and it makes the game world itself a far deeper and more realistic place to explore. So the writing for the game is great. The two main characters, Henry and Delilah, have been written brilliantly, and it makes the world far more believable. It's much more realistic than a heck of a lot of other games, and you can tell that they've spent time on it. And I have to give serious props to Campo Santo for achieving that, because not many games actually do. So here's what I was explaining earlier about the map. You can find other people's maps scattered around in these supply caches, and you can copy that information onto your map to make navigating the world a little easier. You also find notes left by people that also develops the story of the game. The little details on the objects you can pick up is awesome. Like, that looks like an actual piece of refill paper. It's gorgeous. The art design has been done by two getting rather famous, I'll say, people. One of them is Ollie Moss and the other is Jane. And Jane did some fantastic work on The Cave, which I thought was a really cool looking game. And Ollie has done some fantastic pop art prints. Well, at least that's how I know him, through that part of his work. I understand he's done a lot more than that. But you can see that they've spent a huge amount of time on designing this world, and it pays off. So how they've taken the graphics approach is, in my opinion, they've forgotten about raw horsepower, and gone with a solid, simplistic art style that's still complex enough to make this forest, as you can see, look pretty damn awesome. But it's stylized, and that is something that's, I think, lacking from a lot of games, especially, I have to say, I think AAA games. A lot of AAA games just try and make things look as amazing as possible, with cramming as many new fancy sort of graphics techniques down your throat as they can, without actually really having any idea of the look that they want. At least that's the feeling I get. I know that isn't the case, but that's what it feels like. Whereas in this, yes, it's based on the Unity engine, and I will touch on that a little bit later on. But it just works very well, and I would say a lot of that is to do with Ollie and Jane being involved. So the sound design in the game, it's very, very solid. A great score by composer Chris Remo. Ambient sound in the game is great. Wander through the trees, insects, birds, deer, and it really works. There's no constant music. There's only ambient sound effects when you're walking through the forest, and only at key points does the score actually kick in, and it works beautifully. So Firewatch is Campo Santo's first outing as a dev, and what they've achieved as a first-time indie developer, well, the studio, is impressive. It certainly has the feel of a AAA game, but the game is rather short. I'll touch on that a bit later on, especially with the controversy that has been happening over the past couple of days on the online community, especially within the Steam community. And I'd like to talk about that a little bit later on. So I mentioned earlier that the game is running on the Unity engine. Now, unfortunately, the game has got some performance issues, and I've experienced a couple of them in scenes, that aren't really that graphically intensive, and having a look online and seeing other people's reports of it. It seems to be fairly common. Unfortunately, it seems it is much worse on the PlayStation 4. I really hope that Campo Santo can resolve those issues in upcoming patches, because it is a shame that that those performance sort of issues you can face take you out of the stunning environment like this and the story when your game just suddenly starts chugging away. So basically what's happened over the last 48 hours or so is rather unfortunate with the Firewatch game, in that people have been basically requesting through Steam refunds of the game. So perhaps they're doing speed runs through the game and finishing it in under 2 hours and then requesting a refund. There's other reports, that people are finishing the game 3 to 4 hours and still requesting refunds through Steam. Now, to me, the cost of the game in New Zealand is about $20, which is almost the same cost as going to the movies here. Um, and for the experience of Firewatch, as a game, as an entertainment piece, dare I say it, a piece of art, it's worth that entrance price. And I'm more than happy to give the developers $20 to show my appreciation for what they have done. And there's talk of people saying, but I spend $20 on a game, and I expect to get hours and hours of entertainment out of it. And I'm not rich, things like that. Then really you shouldn't be picking up a game like this in the first few days until you have actually seen reviews and know the length of the game. I think it's pretty miserable to request a refund through Steam. It's sort of like going to the movies, spending the $20, sitting in the theatre for 2 hours, watching a brilliant film, really enjoying it, and then going down to the candy bar and requesting your money back. It just seems kind of weird to me. So here at Downtime Distractions, we really try and be as non-fanboy and as level-headed as we can when it comes to game reviews. But I'll be honest, this game is really blowing me away. I think it's fantastic. It is a very solid indie title. Campo Santo, as I said before, have made this indie game look like a AAA title. Yes, it's short, but it's as enjoyable a couple of hours as you'll have for compared to many other games. So I'd like to do a bit of a summary. What Campo Santo have achieved with Firewatch is impressive. It is a indie game that feels equally as good as a AAA title. In some cases, in a lot of cases, better than most of these $100 games. Yes, the game is short, but what it gives to you in that amount of time is incredibly satisfying. It's a beautifully designed, beautifully written, very clever game. And I have to give absolute credit to Campo Santo for creating Firewatch. The voice artists again have absolutely nailed it. The actual design of the game is very impressive. Very few bugs I encountered. It's a shame that there are certainly performance problems with it. But as I said before, hopefully that it gets addressed in patches. As for the price, and it being the length of the game and the cost of it being a bit controversial at the moment, I absolutely think it's worth it. If you can afford the $20 NZ, or if you're in the US, probably be a lot cheaper. It's probably going to be like $12, $9. It's absolutely worth it to me. It is a very solid title. Yes, I'm being a bit of a fanboy, but absolutely Campo Santo have nailed it. Hit it out of the park. 2 thumbs up from me. So that about wraps it up. As you can tell, I've got pretty strong feelings about Firewatch. I think it's a very solid game. please hit the subscription button at Downtime Distractions. We really appreciate it. Any feedback, please drop us a line, let us know. I think it would probably be worthwhile to actually do a video with myself, Mung, and Mesh to discuss the controversy about Firewatch, about the length of a game versus the cost of it, and also the Steam refund system. Let us know your thoughts on that. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. I'm going to leave you with a short clip of why I think the game is pretty special. Anyway, thanks for watching. My name's Hamish again, and I'll see you in the next video. See ya.